if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have been able to show up the person I needed to be in order to get to where I am now. It would have taken so much longer. Fall flat on your face, like hard. And when you get back up, you're like, what did I learn? And when you're in the middle of it, you're going to be reminded of who you really are. Like, wait a second, I'm not, that's not me, right? This is not defining me. I am this, and I'm going to show up like that tomorrow. I'm going to show up today like it.
This episode is sponsored by Follow Up Boss, and I know you, Justin, and Lindsay both know that I made the switch about a year ago to Follow Up Boss from being in one CRM for the last 13 years.
I read a stat the other day that 32 of the top 50 teams in the United States use Follow Up Boss already. So, I guess the proof's in the pudding there.
So whether you have a super team like George or a mini team like me, Follow Up Boss makes it super easy for teams of all sizes to get organized, stay on top of their leads and spheres with less effort, and improve overall performance so you can scale your business.
And thanks to FUB, all of our listeners can double their free trial and get a full 30 days to see how Follow Up Boss can level up your business. And there's no contract necessary, no credit cards required, completely free to give it a go. So visit followupboss.com/inspection period for more details. And thanks, Follow Up Boss, for making this possible.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Inspection Period by State Media. I'm Justin.
I'm George.
I'm Lindsay.
And every single week, we're coming to you with the latest and greatest and really awesome humans telling their life stories and what's made them successful and kind of getting under the hood, figuring out how we can translate that for our own lives and walk away with some really good golden nuggets. But today he literally told me not to introduce him, which is weird. Now I feel awkward and I don't know what to do about this. But this is Tristan Amata. Is that how I see your last name? Amata? Yeah, cool. Tristan. Yeah, this is Tristan Amata. Is that close or is that right?
You know what? You're right. Let's just go with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'll do what I had written down here. But Tristan, he's the CEO of Lab Coat Agents and the Success Magazine editor. So he's had kind of the unique privilege of engaging some of the most successful and inspiring individuals from around the globe. And not only does he share these incredible stories and insights with his work, but he also dives deep into the essence of leadership and kindness, which is honestly my favorite thing about you, man. Your heart and what you share behind your message is honestly, I think, why people gravitate towards you so much, because you're such a genuine grade A human. And that makes me really excited to be talking to you today. And obviously you're the host of the Brilliant Thoughts podcast. You have your own incredible YouTube channel, and you've been sharing invaluable wisdom and fostering community and growth in our real estate industry for a long, long time. So really pumped to have you, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Do you want to do your own intro now that you prepared? Or,
no way. That was good.
Top that, bro.
That was great. I'll take yours. I'll take yours over mine.
All right. Sounds good. This opportunity is about to pass you up here. So
let's dive in with Tristan here. I want to know, obviously, I think what most people know you for is Lab Coat Agents, right? That is the biggest agent community. But before Lab Coat Agents was a thing, take us back. Give us a little bit of the background story about who you were before the Tristan that we see today. What were some of the things growing up that you thought you were going to be when you grew up? I'm guessing you never thought it was going to be leader of the largest agent community in the world, but give us some background.
Yeah, so let's see here. I was born in Los Angeles, grew up in California, still here. And I thought I was going to be a baseball player. I was like, I'm pretty good at baseball. And that didn't happen, by the way.
Did you play anywhere? Did you play anywhere?
No, my finger got broken from a fastball. It hit directly into it, and I was like, oh, that was it. That was my career. Never took off.
Peaked in Little League.
It never took off. That was the extent of that. And I was scared of the ball ever since. There you go.
Wow.
But I did go to college here, California State University of Northridge, and I met my wife first year there. I got married at 19.
Dang.
Whoa.
And yeah. I'm married
How
for
many years?
27 years.
Dude, that's freaking killer.
Right? Nuts. That didn't sit well with our parents, by the way. They're like, yo, what the hell is this? But we've been through a lot together. Obviously, a lot of ups and downs at the beginning. But I think I think we hit a really good groove after like year 5, 6, and then it just started getting better and better and better. So
This is good news for me. This week was my 6-year anniversary, so I like hearing that.
yeah, it was between year 5 and 7. That's where it happened, and I think for me it was a realization that, first of all, very volatile, very passionate on both sides. It was a realization that it was up to me. I was like, shit. I keep on pointing fingers like, listen, I don't like that you do that. Stop nagging. It's like, shit. What is this? Right? I don't need a second mom. It was not good. And then I realized, Tristan, it's you. You're the fucking problem. Like you need to own up. Like you need to show up better as a husband. And literally it was, I don't remember, it was year 6-ish. A lot of shit went down, and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. And then I started slowly showing up better, not expecting as much, saying, you know what, it's up to me, just expect it from me. And then it started turning around, and then that bled into other things too, because look, I've had a lot of failures. It hasn't been pretty, but never on the marriage side, which has been great for me, right? And I think that taught me a lot of lessons. Like things take a long time to get to where you want to get them to.
Ooh, patience. Delayed gratification is one of the
Yeah.
toughest lessons.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And then so met her, and I took the I think it was a 7 or 8 year program to graduate. So that was a great one. Right.
Sounds fun.
It was a really fun one. But I did finally graduate. I went to law school, and first year in, I finished first year, and I was like, damn, real estate's so much better. So I left law school and stayed with real estate, did amazing. And then the market tanked. And then I thought, shit, I should have stayed in law school. And first thing I thought. And so I had to shift my whole approach to real estate. So my background's all telemarketing. So I used to sell ink cartridges, windows, then go door to door. And I didn't know that jumping into real estate, I would need those skills, right? So I instantly did well because that was a world we lived in then. And then Zillow popped in, and Craigslist and Google Ads, and I'm like, what is this? So like I started testing this stuff out. Next thing you know, realtor.com releases their product. And my last name starts with an A, and they're in my city. That's where their headquarters is at. So they call me first. They explain this cool new product they have. And I'm like, that sounds like Craigslist, right? I'll take the whole county. So took the whole county. And that week, I couldn't keep up because they didn't know what they had. Well, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I had to figure it out. And so we were one of the first. We became the biggest spender for realtor.com at the time, 2010, 11, 12. And so we started creating automations. I brought in the skills from calling, and say, hey, I think we need like people to pick up the phone and call and quarterback, and started creating this whole process. Then realtor.com put me on stage, and then we started teaching the whole process all around the United States. And in one of those, I got to meet somebody from Facebook. And I was like, oh, Facebook, kind of cool. So we connected. Then my wife said, hey, you should start a Facebook group because you keep on getting the same questions over and over and over and over again. And so I started Lab Coat Agents, right? It's my wife's idea. All the good ideas are my wife's, okay?
Listen to all of you out there. Listen to your wives.
They really are. You think I'm joking? They really are, guaranteed. Because we've gone through them. Or maybe I'm brainwashed. I don't know yet. 27 years. But they're all hers. So we open up Lab Coats, and I go to realtor.com and I say, hey, you guys want to do this with me? And they're like, no, you do it by yourself, right? So they helped me grow it from the sales floor. They'd get calls. They're like, hey, you got to join Lab Coat Agents. You got to join Lab Coat Agents. So they helped with that. They helped me in webinars. That's where I met Steve Passanelli, by the way. He used to work at Realtor.com.
At Realtor, way back in the day,
Yeah,
yeah.
way back. So we go way, way, way back. Then
Oh,
we
so
were
you know
on,
like Andrew Dorn, all of those
dude,
guys
we
as
go
well.
all way back. So
Dude, that's crazy.
so we're good friends there. And then we just started getting more opportunities through lab coats. And then I got that Facebook connection. And then I saw them again at an Inman event when I was on stage talking about Facebook lead ads. They were brand new. And they said, "You're that Facebook group guy." And we didn't know you knew about lead ads. So late 2015, brand new. And they're like, "Hey, can you fly up to East Palo Alto to headquarters? We'd like to talk to you about real estate." So flew out there. Next thing you know, they said, "Hey, we want to start a real estate advisory board. We want to break into real estate. Can you help us?" And I said, "Hell yes, I can help you." So literally, they made me the real estate advisory board head right there. And I was like, "This is the weirdest shit ever." And then that opened the doors for all this other stuff that I didn't know existed. And so I had that relationship with Instagram and Facebook for 4 years, where we
Man.
consulted them directly, which is nuts, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing is honestly very wild because I think in real estate, all of us get sold the next silver bullet, right? If somebody called and offered me a new platform, the first thing I'm going to do is hang up on them because I get a call like 25 times a day with somebody
We
offering me
do.
some type of lead gen, right? So
We
the
do.
fact that you answered the call and then not only just like dipped a toe, but absolutely cannonballed into it by buying the whole county. That's wild to me because but awesome.
Well, I think it's like with all of you here, you already know what the world you're in, right? You know it very, very well. So if you hear it, you're like, "Oh shit, that's good." Like I talked to Justin this morning. He showed me the AI product, Shiloh, and I'm like, "This is amazing. This is like this is gonna work. This is the absolute coolest thing ever."
Isn't
So yeah,
it?
it makes total sense instantly. Like he could have stopped talking after 30 seconds. I'm like,
You
"This
probably
is
should
amazing."
have just told me to shut up, honestly.
No,
Yeah.
dude, I was like, "This is beautiful. This is beautiful." So yeah, it's similar to that. So I think all four of us have been in some parts of this business pretty deep that we can understand things really fast and see the opportunity. And I think that's what allows us to jump in faster than most people. It's like we already have our values set. We already understand things, so we see opportunities faster and can jump in quicker, right?
Has anybody ever called you like lucky in your life that you just kind of like stumble into situations?
You know, I know they think it, but I don't
Yeah,
know that
yeah, they think it. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know that they've ever told me that directly. I think so. Being in the spotlight, you also get all the other shit. Like
Mhm.
when somebody accuses you of something, you you get that. And I'll tell you what happened, which you might know. I don't know if you guys know. So back in 2016, we we were Lab Code Agents was growing. I had the relationship with Facebook already and other relationships. Um, with Realtor.com, now they were paying right at this point, and then we got nominated by Inman to, it was some nomination like best tech. I don't know what the hell it was. It was a cool nomination. I get my awards and I throw them in the trash. Okay, just so you know, I hate awards. So we get nominated. I go there. I'm in a bus with Nick Baldwin, who is my business partner in Lab Kids, and we're sitting next to a fan. And he's telling us, he's a little drunk. He's telling us about how his wife, he caught his wife cheating on him, uh, and it was his cousin.
Oh, wow. That sounds like
Fantastic.
some Jerry Springer.
It's pretty
It's
much
also like a little bit par for the course at a real estate conference, though.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
We've all heard that story before. Yeah.
I'm like, what, right? And we're in the back of the bus, and so I'm just listening. I'm texting, and he brings up other stuff like, "Hey, now I'm on Tinder and I'm dating and all this stuff." I'm like, "Great, great, great." And then there are some women in the front as well, three or four. And then that's the end of it. We don't win the award at Inman. And then you hear in October of 2016, You hear about Donald Trump saying, "Hey, I grabbed women by the right," and remember that whole thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And so a week later, there's an article that pops out that says, "Hey, there was these two guys that are industry leaders talking shit about women and just negatively saying, and they're cheating on their wives." Right? This is the article, and then Inman picks it up, and then if thing blows up, like we get millions and millions of views on the article. Lab Coat Agent starts flooding with people, and I start getting calls and texts like, and it didn't even name us, right? It just said, right? So I start getting texts like, "Go kill yourself." I can't believe it gets
Wow.
bad. It gets pretty fucking bad. Uh, you should just leave Lab Coat Agents. You should leave real estate. I get fired from Keller Williams at the time, right? Fired from
Wow.
Keller Williams. I had to call up Facebook and be like, "Hey guys, there's this thing going around. It's fake news, right?" And they backed me, and because they've been working with me so closely, they're like, "Yeah, that's not you. You take your family everywhere. It's weird." Um, Everyone backed me. Fidelity, FNF, like nationally backed me. All these partnerships. The only one that backed out was Realtor.com. They're like, we're getting a lot of pressure from these people, right? And I was like, that's fucked up. And so, dude, like the amount of pressure that my wife got, I was losing business, just the amount of anxiety and stress from this, just people calling you out, things that you didn't even do. You just happened to be in the bus with
Wow.
just the wrong person. And the day that it happened, I realized, shit, I need to show up. I need to just continue to do what I'm doing and show up better. Because I kind of been here. I'm like, I've been here before. So I showed up better. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let this knock me down. It hurts the fuck out of me. I didn't eat for like a few days.
Wow.
And
Oh, totally,
uh,
dude. I'd like curl up in the corner of my house
Oh,
and just
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
hide
bad.
and cry for a couple days.
It was pretty bad. The calls you like, imagine calling Facebook executives, right? Hey guys, let me send you the article. And that was bad, guys. That was pretty low. Um, that was a pretty bad moment in my life.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think it's you brought up like having your values set and everything, and obviously this experience you had to probably like really ground down back in your values of like who I am as a person. But
Yeah.
also when you say yes to a lot of opportunities like this, so yeah, it could come off as lucky, but people don't see like the underside of what it takes to be seen at the level that you're at and how you've expanded your tolerance for the
Mm,
criticism and judgment and talk to us a little bit about that. I think as people
mm.
get a bigger audience, I think it's easy for from the outside for it to look really pretty, but there's definitely a dark side to more exposure. How have you kind of managed that since that terrible experience? I'm sure it hasn't totally gone away, but um,
No, good point. So it still shows up. People reference the article. You guys can look it up right now. Go to the Inman article. That's the one that probably the most extensive one. And you can you can see that people reference it. There are many times I've gone to go speak, and people like a week later they're like, "Hey, you know what? Somebody sent us this article, and we don't want any issue." This is like what, 8 years now. It
Wow.
happened earlier this year, and I'm like, guys, watch the video by the guy there. He said he didn't even say shit, and it wasn't even us. But the point is, um, yes, that was the biggest blessing I've had in the last 8 years because like nothing phases me now.
mm,
But I had to go through that and it was so painful. Like people are like, "Oh, Tristan, you're an idiot. Oh, this guy's a clown." I'm like, "Great. I love this. This is great. You're giving me more great stuff, just more eyeballs." So at this point, first of all, I don't wish it on anybody. But in order to get your tolerance higher, you're going to have to go through some pain. You're going to have to show up there, get hit, get knocked down, and then show up again because you're creating a habit, right? And on a real estate level, where you're going out and picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, stop calling me," or I hate all real estate agents. It's the same thing. You just show up to the next one. you're going to find your tribe, and you're going to find people that hate you. That's okay.
Yes, I saw a quote today. It was like, you could be the juiciest peach in town, right? Somebody's gonna hate peaches. Um,
It's a good,
and it's
it's a good
true. Like,
thing.
you're not for everyone, and I think the sooner people realize that you're not going to always be for everyone, the better off they'll be. So I've dominated all the questions, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to preface it, my original question about asking you if the people think you're lucky was not just to say that you aren't good at what you do and that you're just lucky. I was actually, Lindsay kind of brought it down that road, right? Like, what people don't see is all of the yeses and all the failures and all of the stuff that's like behind that. Because one thing that I think I appreciate about you is that you're curious, and I often see in people that get called lucky, like I happen to be one of those people that's like, oh, Justin, whatever the heck you just stumble into, it just kind of works or whatever. That's
Mm.
not true. They don't see all of the rest of it, right? But like a common trait is people that are just curious. They're not lucky. They're just turning over rocks that other people just didn't think to turn over, right? You just have this open mind to go, maybe I don't know it all. And like I see that in your day-to-day life, and the way that you present things and the way that you coach people. It's really interesting, honestly.
Mm.
And it's funny the like whole like crucible that you have to go through to figure out how to become even just like competent at something. Who was it? Jokic, the dude on the Denver Nuggets, the Serbian basketball player, is just a legend. He was sitting down at an interview afterwards, after like they won the championship, and they're like, "So, like, what do you think it takes to be successful?" And in his like broken language, he goes, "Well, first, you're gonna suck, and then you could get better, and then you become better, and then you're gonna fall down and you're gonna suck again, and if you actually make it back from that and become better, then you have a chance of actually being successful." And I remember
Wow.
hearing him say that, and I was like, I get English is not his first language, but because it was put in such simple terms, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. First, you're gonna suck, then you're gonna get it good, and you're gonna think you're
Like
awesome. Something's gonna knock you down, and if you figure out how to get back from that, then you have a shot of being successful, you know?
Yeah. So many people give up, right? And that downfall, right? To have the resilience to continue on at that point. It really does build good character. And I think you hear a lot of, obviously, your story, Tristan, there's not a lot like that by any means. You came through the fire for sure. But as a business owner, I think and as a real estate agent, like resilience is one of the key factors in being successful in this business and many businesses. So thank you for sharing that story, man. That's huge.
What was the biggest thing like on the backside of that when you said like it was your like biggest blessing in your life that
I
happened
think,
kind of thing?
well, because I think what I realized way after was if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have been able to show up uh, the person I needed to be in order to get to where I am now. It
Mhm.
would have taken so much longer, right? And so when people ask me, it's like, oh, I don't know, should I do that? I'm like, go do it, fall flat on your face, like hard, because you're gonna get back up. And when you get back up, you're like, that didn't feel good. But what did I learn? And what can I do better? And that in that little process, nobody can take that away from you, because that's who you become. And that's super powerful, man. That piece.
If somebody's listening and they're in the middle of that cycle, they feel like they're in the middle of the shit right now, right?
Yeah.
Like what I guess encouragement or advice would you give them to be able to keep going? Like what would be the thing that you would give them?
Yeah, take small steps. So I've been in the middle of it a few times in different things. In that specific one, I just knew that I needed to show up again, and I needed to show up a certain way. So you're going to be, when you're in the middle of it, you're going to be reminded of who you really are. Like, wait a second, I'm not, that's not me, right? This is not defining me.
Mhm.
I am this. I am this, and I'm going to show up like that tomorrow. I'm going to show up today like it. And sometimes we look at this and we're like, man, this is never going to end. But all I'm asking you to do is just to show up today, the rest of the day that way, because you're training yourself how to show up. Because if you do the opposite, which is you're just going to cave in and be like, oh, it's not going to work, and then do something else. That's how you just trained yourself to show up tomorrow.
I would say the points you've made, there's been a lot of self-reflection in them. Your marriage early on, realizing that you had to show up differently, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it took me a decade. You did it in 6 years. It took me about a decade to get there to realize, like,
You got there, bro.
It's probably me. It's probably me. I got to work on some stuff here, and show up better for the relationship. Business, the same thing, man. Like, it takes that step back and observing, and having the ability to do that and go like, oh shoot, maybe we're not hitting that next level because I'm not showing up right. I'm not showing up well. I'm not doing the things that need to be done to take this to where I want it to go. Like, am I really committed to it? And so, yeah, man, like, you've been on the journey, it looks like, in many parts of your life.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think once we reflect on in any part of our life, whether it's business, personal, or whatever, when we reflect on it and realize that it's up to us, I think that's where we start growing in a better direction. And that's tough, man, because I don't want it to be my fault, but it is. It's my fault.
Well, it's what you can control, right? Like, who can you control? Yourself. Like, well, a lot of things in business are out of our control, but what I can do is make sure that I show up right.
It feels like a big cornerstone to that seems to be like your ability to respond opposed to react to situations. Because like as we gain more emotional awareness, go through hard stuff, it gives us a bit more of that ability to reflect, like you're talking about. Like we'd be lying if we don't still feel some of those core things that show up in those moments, right? Like those things that like trigger us or poke the little weak spots in our armor or whatnot. You still feel it, but now you have the emotional ability to, instead of just letting whatever out, you stop, analyze it, like, okay, yeah, maybe this is me, maybe there is something I should own about this, and then respond opposed to just reacting.
Yeah, I think we still naturally respond sometimes.
Oh yeah,
and we're like, oh, we shouldn't have responded that way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I love that conversation. That gives us such like great insight into who you are. I want to talk a little bit more about what's going on now. Obviously, you have multiple business ventures going on. What are you excited about today? What's going on in your life? What's the most important thing?
I opened up a brokerage, right? And so I wasn't looking to do it, but I thought I'm not happy with the way a lot of different brokerages are going and the direction they're going. So I was looking for other things, and I just happened to find a friend who said, hey, we just opened up a brokerage in Long Beach, and he's been a longtime friend. We wanted to open up a Keller Williams together. And I said, hey, man, do you want to make that little brokerage a national brokerage if I jump in? And he's like, yes. So we talked, and he ran the #1 Keller Williams in the nation for a while, and then the region. And so I go, he can build it. I can't. That's not my specialty. But on this side, I can attract and I can lead, right? And so I said, I think we make a pretty good partnership. Let's do this. And it literally happened within less than 2 months. And everything aligned, and we're like, let's do this. So we're in California. It's called Y Realty with a letter Y. And when I announced it, everyone from all around the United States, Canada, and other places wants to join, but we're not there yet. So we have a massive wait list in the last 7 days. So there you go.
That's exciting. What's kind of your differentiator? I mean, I recently switched brokerages, and so, I know a lot of what's going on out there. I'd love to hear your take on what needs to be done differently and what you guys are putting out there.
Yeah. So in building these other companies that we've helped build and sell, and then lab coats, I realized that there's a key component that's really missing in a lot of companies, not just real estate. And it was one conversation that I took to heart where Jeff Bezos said, what's the one thing that's not going to change in the next 20, 30, 40, 100 years? In fact, you've probably seen it repeated online consistently. And I thought about that a lot, and we came up with 3 answers. So I'm a historian. I graduated with a history degree, and then went on to law school, read a lot of shit. So in reading, I realized that there's one thing that's never going to change, and that's the human aspect of this business, which is relationships, community, and leadership. And you keep on, and we see people keep on leading with the wrong things. You see big companies say, "Hey, we're now a tech company, everyone," right? Oh, hey, you know what? We're a media company. We're a marketing company. We're a rev share company. And look, we have all of those components, but we're never going to be leading with that, because what happens every time, and we've seen it every time, there comes a tipping point, and it goes the other way. But when you lead with the human aspect of this, and we've seen this before with big companies, when you lead with the human aspect, it never gets old. And people can connect with it at the level that they feel comfortable with. And you speak their language. So for us, the differentiating factor is that it's an extension of Lab Code Agents, what we've been able to create there, the extension of the culture and the growth that I've been able to bring to these other companies that we've helped grow. And really, it's putting the agent at the heart of everything we do through relationships, community, and leadership. But
That's awesome.
we got the rev share and we got the tech. But to me, it's not the sexy thing, dude. It's like, I really don't care about that. Like, I want to take the real estate agent to the next level. But you know what gets in the way? They get in the way themselves. I've seen it because I've been in my own way. And so anyway, that's a whole
I
different
love it,
tangent.
man. Is that so? I love the focus on, knowing what the brokerage is going to be focused on, being better at, right, and the things they can change. I still think that there's this beautiful balance of technology to enable our agents to have better relationships, right? Like,
Agreed.
I want to create the most efficient, consistent real estate agents so they can be out there like doing the things that AI can't do, right? And I saw a quote the other day too that I thought was really powerful. It says like, I don't want my AI to do my writing and art. I want it to do the dishes and laundry so I can do the writing and art,
That's
right?
so
And
good.
I was like, that's such a great way of saying. So, as you think through technology and empowering agents, I know
Yeah.
it's not. I can't imagine you owning a brokerage that isn't tech forward in a
Oh, of
way,
course. Yeah.
but all to serve the agents in a better way, and obviously, ultimately, the consumer in a better way.
Yeah.
I'm curious then, like, how you see, because if I were gonna have a guest that I could ask this to, it's you. Is like, how do you see AI impacting the agent
Yeah.
over the next 5-10 years?
We have thought about that. So we definitely have thought about that. In fact, we had a conversation yesterday. So because of lab codes, we get to talk to multiple startups weekly, like more than 5 or 6, 7, and some are in the real estate world. Yesterday, I had 2 conversations. One was in the real estate world, and I could see how this could benefit us, and I loved it. In fact, I'll tell you now, I have no ownership of it. It's called Archie, but let me see here because it was buyer. Yeah, here it is, buyeragency.com. You guys want to take a look at it, buyeragency.com. And it's the little bot is called Archie, and it's something super simple, but there's stages. So what it does is it simplifies the process for the agent, that's us, to be able to get the buyer broker agreement signed in any form. It's like, yeah, I'm taking a fee or no, but it's so damn simple and it's free.
Hmm.
And I'm like, damn.
I like that.
I went through the process. I tested it out. I'm like, hey, how did it feel? I sent it to my agents. They're like, this is so damn easy. And it's free, but that's the hook, right? Because now the next piece to this, and this is where AI comes in. The next piece is now they're building out, since they've got now an audience, they're going to build out the ability to have this AI fill out all the contracts for us as agents. So instead of one agent, or let's say one TC or one admin being able to handle just a few, you can handle 1,000. And they're going to start in specific states because contracts are very different. Even in California, they're all different. But the ability then, you're extending this, your question, your ability as an agent, single agent, to be able to handle a lot more changes. And look, I'm thinking Shiloh only because I just talked to you, dude. If you look at that, you're not removing the human element from it, right? Which is the best piece. I want to talk to people and people want to talk to me. You're just enhancing our ability to communicate better. And in essence, that's what AI is going to be doing for you. The AI that's going to succeed is the AI that enhances us, not that replaces us, right? And I'm already talking to people. It's like, we don't want to talk to AI. I don't want to talk to AI. The moment I know it's AI, I shut off, right?
Mhm.
So, and that's what's going to happen. So we're going to layer the company. The ability that I have, and it's very unique, is we've got lab coats and we get to talk to hundreds of companies. And now I can pick, hey, this is a great company. Listen, why don't we work together in lab coat agents and bring it over to the brokerage? Nobody's ever seen this before. Let's just grow with this. And I'm going to be doing that and picking the most amazing companies to work with us.
Is you saying you're going to pick me? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I already love yours. Listen, I already said let's go on lab coats just to showcase it because I really like it. But in essence, it's an unfair advantage. But dude, I really don't care. I want to help agents. I want them to grow. I need us to grow. I can't have us not be around 5 or 10 years from now.
Yeah. It makes a worse reality, in my opinion, for the end consumer.
Yeah. I think one of the things too, like, as you're saying that Bezos quote, and then it's like, for me, what I've been focused on is like the technology that, what is the dishes and laundry of the day-to-day real estate agent besides dishes and laundry?
Good question. I like
that. Like how, the worst thing that you can do, and this is some things like, Shiloh answer some of those questions. I've seen other tech answers like, you go out, you show 3 properties and you have to go back home. Maybe they want to write a contract. Maybe they wanted to do this, and you've got to go back and update the CRM. Maybe you had a couple other phone calls with clients along the way. But it's really cool. Like AI updating CRMs, right? Transaction management. A lot of people are going like sales AI to me, which I think is the wrong direction, man.
Mm-hmm.
It is transaction management. It is, database hygiene, like all of these things like that. That's the stuff that's the minutia that agents fall down on. And I'm super excited because at the end of the day, it creates a better consumer experience. So it's going to be an interesting few years here. I've had it from a lot of my agents too. They're a little scared of it too. I go, well, and I don't think it's wrong to be a little paranoid. Productive paranoia has always served me well too. But those that lean in are going to do pretty amazing business in the next few years, I think.
You just mentioned something and it gave me a thought. So I'm just going to rephrase what you said. You own it. It's yours. Okay.
Deal.
But I really love this. Creating a better consumer experience means leaving the human involved. And I love that, man. That's what I understood you saying.
Yeah. I love it. Simplified for sure.
You're a genius.
Tristan, I don't know. So you, just interesting story, I think. I met you, I think 2016, 2017, maybe, through Brian North. We did a small mastermind. I don't know if you recall. And one of the things that I think of too, and this is one of those memories that pops up in my mind often. You were showing us how to do a Facebook ad, and you started. I'm like, well, man, I know how to do a Facebook ad. I said that. I was that asshole in the mastermind that said something like, dude, I know how to do a Facebook ad, right? And you go, yeah, but do you know how to run a Facebook ad like I do? And he goes, you don't. And then you proceeded to blow my mind. I go, shoot, I have been doing it wrong. And so that was such a like impactful moment for him. Like, all right, George, be a little more humble in those settings too. So
I mean, that was a good question on your part too.
Yeah. So it was cool though. But so it was one of those things I always go back to. I'm like, okay, I have something to learn here. So
we all do, man. I love that.
Question for you. I'm an aspiring community builder, or I should say not aspiring. I am a community builder. I have a small group coaching program and community called Legacy Agents. If you were to start over from the beginning with Lab Coat Agents, is there anything that you would kind of give advice? I know there's a lot of people out there that I think community is a cornerstone of our values and what we love most about this industry. What advice do you have for community builders out there?
All right. So I actually have this conversation a lot with people. And where I start is I want to really clarify who it is that you want to reach. Like, and I want you to niche down as much as you can. And that's where it starts. So what we've seen over the years in helping build a lot of different communities inside and outside of real estate is the more niche you get, like to the point that it almost feels ridiculous. Like parents with two children, right, from the ages of 5 to 12. What happens is you perform so well for them, and people love it so much that they tell other people about it faster because there's nothing like it. And so that would be number one. And number two is I would find other people that feel the same way I do about the group, about parents with 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds. And I would sit down with them and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Do you know about building a community? Do you know about human behavior? Do you like showing up on social media consistently? And are you bipolar? Right? That's what I would have to say. That's an important question. Listen, you're going to get in business with these people. You don't want them to fuck up everything for you. Well, unless you want to go that route, and sometimes like that's amazing too, right? So I would ask that, and then the third thing is I wouldn't stop just with what you think you want the community to be. Let's say you do, only because groups in Facebook are the biggest, right? Communities. Let's say you did go there. And you're like, oh, this is amazing. I said, great. Well, now tell me about what you're going to do on YouTube, right? How are you going to attract the same audience on YouTube? Tell me what you're going to do on a podcast, right? Now tell me about the newsletter, because we have multiple massive newsletters and they all make money for us. What about a newsletter? And how are you going to grow that? Now show me your plan on retargeting for Facebook, Instagram, Google, and have you tried ads on Hulu? And now show me your plan on X, because X is the 5th largest website in the world, right? It's Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X. What's your X plan? And X has a community too. What about LinkedIn? So I go down the line and say, don't stop here, right? Create everywhere. And it's not just going to be you. You need people. And if it's not partners, like I said, finding the right partners, it's being able to hire. And hiring the right people, I think, is important. And who's going to be in charge of it? The reason we can't do a lot of the things that we want to do is because we think it all falls on us, or maybe 2 more people and that's it. Man, if you want to grow where you want to grow, you need to hire way more than you think.
That's honestly the most probably the message I needed to hear today, first and foremost. So thanks for sharing that.
Well, and like to shameless plug you, like don't you manage that for a lot of people? Like you ran the FUB community for forever, and like also like I know for Rooster, you're doing like helping them build marketing and community.
Yeah, we do it for a lot of different companies, inside and outside. We do it for law companies. We do it for marketing companies. We ran all of Success Magazine's marketing for a couple of years. Their social, their podcast. The point is, I built the team to be able to help me do the things that I really want to do. And I think we can all do that in the world that we're getting into a lot easier. Like if I look at this just a couple of years ago, there's no way I could do the amount of work I do now because of AI. And it's only going to get more amazing, right? Like my team can now manage so much more because of it. So I think start looking in that direction as far as communities and seeing how can I layer AI into this to empower the people that are working with me that are human, because the key part about community is us, the human aspect, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have a lot of business endeavors going on. I also am a multi-passionate entrepreneur with multiple businesses. How do you tactically like stay involved in all of them to the level that you want to be and have the influence that you do without letting any of those drop? I think when you have multiple streams of income, multiple businesses moving forward, all of them at one time,
Mm-hmm.
how are you doing that?
Talented people, number one. You've got to hire amazing people. And number two, the businesses that you decide to take on, whether it's equity, partnership, or whatever it is, it has to fall within your wheelhouse of like that's the thing that you do best.
Yeah.
The moment you say, yeah, I'll partner with you, but you're doing something that you're kind of okay at, that's like the biggest mistake you're going to make. Everything that you do business wise that you're going to be part of has to fall on the thing that you do best. And then you'll literally be unstoppable. You can bring in so many different businesses that you work with because you're fucking amazing at it. And it just falls in your wheel. It's like, I did this, but that hit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different companies. Amazing. That's the best advice I can give you on that. Find companies that match your highest talent.
I love that. Stay in your zone of genius.
Yeah, it's like when Charlie Munger, when they asked Charlie Munger, he's dead now, but when they asked Charlie Munger, it's like, what do you think about crypto? He's like, I don't know about it. I'm not investing it. I'm like, good, that's great advice.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Listen, if I don't know it, I'm not going to touch it, right?
Yeah.
Unless I get somebody that I hire that knows all about it, and then they can teach me. But more importantly, I can rely on them.
Yeah, that you can trust them and they're not bipolar.
Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
best, what have you found to be the best way to find talented people?
Yeah. Best is you ask people you know that you know well,
Yeah.
because they know you. And they're like, oh, I know somebody that would work really well with you. That's the craziest place, man. But that's where I go to now. Like
Yeah.
the best people we have, the last person I hired was from somebody who already works with us. They just came in and said, I've got, and you know what he is? He's, I was looking for him here because we're always in meetings. He's not here, obviously. He's a dungeon master, Dungeons and Dragons. Okay.
Yeah.
Stop.
So check this out.
Stop.
You're talking my nerd language now, baby.
I
Let's
know.
go.
I love D&D, by the way. Natural 20. Here we go. So we were looking for this specific person who is analytical enough to be able to take notes, build things, and just go back and keep people accountable, and then keep us accountable too, and building out a big piece of a company. And one of my staff members says, hey, I've got a friend. I think he's really good. I played D&D with him twice. And this is a conversation. I played D&D with him twice, and he's a security guard, but he doesn't like the security guard thing. And it's like at night, and it's in Atlanta, not a good part of Atlanta, and he's not happy. Right. And I'm like, I'll talk to him. So he brings him on, and I go, so I start the conversation. So you're a dungeon master, dude. Tell me about this. He goes off on being a dungeon master, and I know about dungeon masters. I'm like, shit, you got to plan way ahead. You got to build this whole world. You got to know the rules. You got to know how to respond and be like impromptu. And at the end, I was like, shit, this guy's really good. I bet you he can do this job. And dude, the best hire we've done in the last year. Amazing.
That is the most random, wild.
You have to be a
really
good
cool.
storyteller
Yeah.
to be a dungeon master too. Like
Amazing
you're
story.
the narrator of the
You have
entire
to track
experience.
everything too.
Yeah,
Like you have to know the rules, and those rules are like insane.
All of a
So-
sudden, the hiring for D&D
Yes.
just
Yeah, I'm like,
skyrocketed.
all right, add this to the list.
Adding to your LinkedIn
Yeah.
now.
I have to be a good dungeon master.
Yeah.
Dungeon
Can you search LinkedIn for dungeon masters?
You
There's got to be a
probably
way. I love it.
So before we kind of close out, I just find a couple tactical things with you. So you had mentioned you read a lot. You're a historian. Tell me about maybe the top books that you think everyone should have as required reading.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one, but I love Extreme Ownership by Jocko.
Okay.
And That one's my favorite one. It's on the top list. Man's Search for Meaning is amazing by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful book. And then I love For Business, Built to Last and Good to
Mm,
Great. I think both of
great.
those should be required reading for all entrepreneurs. And Good to Great, and then Built to Last in that order.
Mhm.
And then I would add in there probably The Daily Stoic. It's Ryan Holiday's book. It's just daily philosophical quotes from Stoic philosophers, and I think I would challenge everyone who's reading to really look inward, and then slap yourself a few times and be like, "You're not reading like you're supposed to read. You're reading like an idiot." You need to slow down, take notes, learn. It's okay if you only read one book a year. You need to know that book left and right, understand it, apply those things into your business, highlight them, go through them, truly understand what the author's saying, because they're putting their best work forward for you. If Amazon was built on the book Good to Great, and Charlie Munger says, look, a good book is going to probably make me the best investment of my life ever, and the book only costs $20. I think we're all missing the point when we're reading. We need to slow down. It's okay if you read one book a year. Just make it a great book and apply it. Because a lot of us are like, yeah, I just finished reading that. It was so good. And then they go on to the next one. I'm like, dude, you said no.
Something I've been passionate about too. I'm like, never, really digging into and diving into the book and applying, executing on some of it. I think like audiobooks are, that's where I test it out. I'm like, do I want to actually buy the print? So I'm like, okay, I really like this and I need it. Like I need to highlight it. I need to make notes. Right.
So true.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear somebody else say that, because I'm slow. Sometimes it's 2-3 books a year. Sometimes
I'm a slow reader, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to reread passages. I have to throw them into ChatGPT and be like, what does this really mean, Mr. ChatGPT?
Have you read Poor Charlie's Almanac yet?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It sits on talk about a slow read. It's like reading the freaking Bible, but it's crazy.
This one's thinner and it's really good. It's The Tower of Charlie Munger. This one's really good. It's really short, and it's much shorter than you think it is. But you could just pick up any page in just like 2 pages. It's like, you can read it. It's really nice.
I love that. Like most of their advice, always like Charlie's advice is basically chopped down to like, put your head down, work hard, be humble, don't get addicted to substances, and be faithful to your wife and your friends around you. Basically, it all boils down to basically that.
That's very true. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
No. Well, but that's the thing. It's like his stuff is like, it's timeless wisdom, because other people have said this before. It's just non-sexy stuff that it feels like, no, that's not a magic bullet. It's going to take me forever to do that. I'm like, yeah.
Tristan, man, thank you so much, man. I think I know I'm definitely a fan, man. I follow a lot of your stuff. The Lab Coat Agents. I get your newsletters. I rip off a lot of your content. So I really appreciate what you do, man, out there. So thank you so much for joining us, man.
Tristan, how do people find you really quick before we wrap up? What's the best way?
You just go on Instagram, Tristan.Almada, and just message me any questions. I usually respond fastest on Instagram.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Inspection Period by Estate Media. Huge thanks to Tristan over here for joining us today and sharing his awesome story. And thanks for being willing, man. If you're listening and you found this valuable, the conversation's valuable, the topics, the content, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume. It'll be there. Just make sure, and then tell somebody in your network about it as well. That would be a huge help to us. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Inspection Period. And as a reminder, Inspection Period listeners get a full 30-day trial of Club. No contract, no credit card required. Just go to followboss.com/inspection period for more details.